this younger generation will pay for only what they contribute to you. There was a conference I went for young people, and there was a special young man that spoke about this new work environment. He's 22, Brian is 24, and he said he has 3 jobs. He's earning 700,000. So it caught the attention of everybody, 700,000. So he says he works for a media house, he's a cameraman, then he writes software, so he wakes up at 3 a.m. in the morning, and he writes software, I think, for 4 hours, collaboratively with groups in India and some in the US. And then he's also a music teacher, and he says, okay, what do you do with 700,000? So do you live in a big house? He said, no. I only live in one room. So this generation are minimalist. So he said, I live in one room because it is anything bigger than that, I have nobody to clean, it's too much. So my music instruments are here, my computer here, my bed is here, and I have somebody who comes to clean because I pay the very minimum. Then he was asked by other younger people, so what are you going to do with 700,000? Because if you earn that much, by the time you reach 40, then the guy says, by 45, I am retired and I travel around the world. That's the new generation. Get ready and adjust the workplace to fit them.
Thank you very much. And
I have a question.
Yes, we have a question.
Yeah, I have a question. Maybe I should direct to him. and the other friend of mine. Will this last for the rest of your life? Or there will be a time that you will get out of this? And if you are going to get out of this, where do you go from here? And why then and not now?
I remember he's a lawyer, so
and before this gig, Dan reminded me that he was in charge of a bunge that was of old, arrogant and rich men. I think, Speaker, it's very much progressive. It's how I'm feeling today. As in, mina ishi leo. Yes, Sogoti na wadosi wangu pale nation wananikataa NSSF na NHIF na pesa za uzeeni. Kama nitafika huko unajua, lakini how I'm feeling today and perhaps tomorrow, ndio tukifika huko tutajua. My advice, it's good thinking that, but my advice is this: life is much more than today and tomorrow. Think long term. Think long term. Think about tomorrow. Think about a decade from now, and think about what your children will want to see you like, and how you want to see those children look as you grow older.
All right, thank you very much. As I throw the next question to John, I'm going to invite one more gentleman to come and join us on stage. I'm sure his seat is being brought. Reverend Simon Mbevi.
I have to force myself sometimes to sort of be in that space, that position where you're asking those hard questions, because it is what needs to be done. And I think by extension, just in relation to this conversation, that's the cross sometimes that us as men bear, right? There's tough stuff. I don't know how many of you have come home, you're broke kabisa, but you're told hakuna gas, ama hakuna chakula, watoto sijui nini, kuna school fees, and you're being looked at like, man, you have to get it from somewhere, right? And many times that's a cross that you have to bear. You have to put on a brave face, make a show, and that sort of thing. The problem, I think, arises when we don't have that opportunity to turn to somebody and say, hey, hapa nimelemewa. You know, where the example of a strong person, of a man is of a strong person who's infallible, who gets all the ladies, but somehow is able to keep his wife happy, who's at work doing, succeeding and that sort of thing, who when it comes to a bar fight is the one who always comes out on top, who is the Simba. But not all of us are built that way. In fact, very few of us are built that way. I think true strength is the opposite of what we think that it is. Yeah, sure, you can go to the gym, you can have muscles, yeah, but muscles are not going to get you out of the dilemma that Bwana Kaparo put to Brian, right? So, those are the things that mentality, that thinking about who you really are, it has nothing to do with that kind of strength. And that kind of strength is from generations past, the generation of Muren, right? The generation where you physically had to go and protect the home. It doesn't mean that there's no place for true strength, or rather that strength in that way. But I think the strength that we need to associate ourselves with is a completely different kind of strength. And that's why I said, right now I'm learning. I passed through that phase where I thought that, yes, you have to be physically strong and physically be the one who will stand in front over them. But changes happen, you get kids, you start to think about your life more long term, as Bwana Kaparo said, and you start to think about what your place in it is, and whether this strength that we've been told we must have throughout our lives is the sort of strength that we'll even have beyond the time that we are 45, right? So again, and maybe I'm rambling here, but true strength is not just physical strength. It's not only physical strength. It's not the bravery to just stand up. It's a combination of things. And getting to that alchemy is what, for me, the journey is. So I'm like Bwana Kaparo, I'm not quite sure why I'm here, because I'm also learning, right? So yeah, I think I'll just leave it at that.
I actually think almost all of us would be in that same boat of I'm not sure why I'm here, because we are all learning. And that's why we're here.
Could I give a lifetime experience?
Yes, please.
Now, you guys think I was born old. There was some time I was young. Yes. And I just want to share a little experience of my youth. And hopefully it happens quickly. You will read from a book I intend to publish called Coming to Kenya. Imagine me coming to Kenya. Coming to Kenya. This is Kenya. Where we came from is different. But imagine what happened when I was from Form 1 to Form 4. In the whole location and division, I was the only one in secondary school. Everybody else was a moron, illiterate, brave. And there we were. There I was in the midst of that in secondary school. Imagine the kind of pressure I was in to change into a moron and leave school. And if I did change, you wouldn't have ever heard of me, because I would have expired there. So the strength is not only the physical strength that matters. Indeed, it is the inner strength that matters, that makes you resist what is not good for you and not good for society. So don't go to the gym and build muscles. Go to school, to colleges, and build your mind. Go to the church and build your moral character, so that you are able to resist what any influence that could be harmful to you or harmful to society.
has given about you go home and you're broke. Unaambiwa hakuna hii, hakuna hii. How many of us have gone through that, gentlemen? Hey, my goodness. It's easier to ask who has not. So then you see we are suffering, but we are, instead of getting our way out sort of, we are still having to put up a face. Talk to us about the vulnerability, a man showing vulnerability, because that's what it boils down to.
Well, thank you. Good to be here. 1, 2, 3. I'm glad to listen to the conversation that we've had about identity and legacy as well. And I think just talking about vulnerability, I think as we sit here today, we all carry a lot of pressure and sometimes even pain and issues that we go through. And as we say in our African culture, mwanaume akilia machozi yanaenda ndani. Lakini kuna machozi. So I think we go through a lot, and we were told big boys don't cry. So you're not supposed to show that you have some issues and challenges. I think they're going to sort it out there. On a light note, dear friends, good conversation is being here. But I think what you said is we find our identity in the core of who we are. And as men, I think the calling is for us to be real. We've carried a lot of stuff, and because we don't want to sit down and talk to another man about it and be authentic and real about it, then it comes out sideways. We go, into drugs or something else or illicit sex, because there's something that needs to come out, but we don't give ourselves the permission to have a conversation. But also, it's a society that doesn't give us the permission. If my wife is found somewhere on the street crying, everyone is going to stop and help them. If John-Allan Namu is found somewhere crying, people are going to say unkind words on
breaking news
on social media. What's wrong with men these days? Why can't they man up? And I think it's just the way society has been structured before. But I think we have come to a point where we have realized we've got to be real. And it's okay to talk about what you feel. It's okay. We need to give ourselves the permission, but we also need to create a safe place where we can talk. I'm not going to stop anybody on the streets and begin to cry. I'm going to find a safe place with other men to say, man, this is what I'm going through. And I think you know about Man Enough, and that's what we try to do, to create a space where men can say, I'm going through a difficult place. And be real, talk about it, and be affirmed. Yeah. Father, son, father, grandson. I think part of the beauty of masculinity is just passing on the baton. And so I was really glad to be with Honorable Kaparo here, and all of these men, and feel like we are learning a lot out of what they're saying. So I was just saying, Dan, that we need to give ourselves permission to be vulnerable. In fact, as someone has said, it takes much more courage to admit your struggle and weakness and ask for help than to hold it back. It's a lot more courageous to say, guys, I'm lost. I don't know where I'm going. They say men don't get lost, they just take longer to get there. But you spend a lot of hours. You would have asked someone and gotten help and gotten to somewhere better. So I think the challenge to come out of some of the masculinities that we have thought about before, I think is to redefine what is strength. Strength is when I'm strong enough to admit to my wife that I have a challenge that is disturbing me and I need some help. Strength is when I'm strong enough to realize I need a counselor and go to a therapist and say my marriage is not working. That's actually manly strength, is not weakness. What we used to see as weakness, I think we need to redefine it and realize as men, we need a safe place to talk through our issues and become healthier so that we may play out our masculinity well.
Thank you very much. And I would like to bring Dr. Kip on the same thing, because I feel that the aspect of vulnerability is pretty much a significant factor holistically all around our lives, be it professionally, be it personally when it's at home, in terms of those who are married or those who are looking to get married, those who are in school. Maybe you can speak to us the importance without, again, because we also don't want to end up looking like we are weak. You know, a man doesn't want to look like Uyulu Akulia. You know, and there have been jokes about senior politicians. I'll avoid saying the name, I enjoy my freedom. You know, who cry. And you're a man unalia. So maybe you could just speak to us about that.
Okay, I think Mbevi, Reverend, put it very well. Okay, being vulnerable is okay. Okay, I think that's the key. What we are lacking is the safe space to express that vulnerability. And organizations must provide that safe space. And that should be typically your HR space. Okay? And then also, managers, most of you are key managers, please also provide a space for employees to be vulnerable. Let me give you an example of how I do it myself when I see how I judge a man being vulnerable. And usually when they come in the morning, they are very aggressive. Okay? That usually is an indicator to me that that employee has a problem. And around lunch hour, I call them and say, can we go for lunch? Because then there were indications that the man was in a vulnerable space. And then I give him a safe space by coming to me, and then we just chat. And then when you probe further, then that's when they tell you, you know, I don't have bus fare, or I don't have this. That is when now you give them solutions. And most of the time, sharing is 50% soft. Just the sharing. Okay? So whenever you have a problem, share it. Okay? Go and tell your manager, go and tell your spouse, say it. Saying it does not mean there's an immediate solution, but it also clarifies a lot of thoughts in your own mind. So I would say, Dan, that David put it pretty well. Please be vulnerable, and there is nothing wrong with vulnerability. Even that crying, there's nothing wrong with it. Okay? Let it come out. I know we were made different, but remember, that thing of men don't cry is a social construct. It's not a biological thing. It's a social construct. It's the way society itself. You know, like among the Maasai, you must be a Moran. And so therefore you are told not to cry. And it's part of toughening you for the challenges of the bush. But remember, you're not in the bush any longer. Yeah? You have come to an urban area. So it's a social construct. Let us now deconstruct that social norm and say it's okay to cry, it's okay to be vulnerable, and it's also okay to strengthen and support others. Thank you.
Unajua kuna mwingine aliniambia huwa anafurahi njia yake ya kuonyesha his macho-ness ni kununulia wengine pombe mingi. Sasa anafurahi kuona tukiwa tumelewa si wote. Iko sawa, tutakunywa pombe yako, lakini kitu iko ni you are allowed to be vulnerable. I will be vulnerable. And again, just to take your word from the gentleman here and also around, mi sina bibi. Nyi wase pengine wengi wenu mko na mabibi, unajua. Mimi asante nitapata kuja kupata. Like we are allowed, and in my generation, I am allowed to be vulnerable as a young man. Lia, kama tunaongea discussion ya 50-50, si pia kama unasikia kulia na unasikia unaumia bwana ni nini, utakufa ndani shida yako ndani. Itabidi umelia au kumekuwa vulnerable to the person that is your significant other. Na kama hajisikii kukuona ukilia, yani sitaki kusema ukae kando, lakini at least they should be able to see you in your most vulnerable state. I think I go to that school of thought.
When I was there. Now to go and start my own organization, you treat it like a child. You are there every waking moment. At 3 a.m. if the business needs something, you have to be there to provide for it. Because in the back of your mind, you're thinking, this business ndio italisha watoto. And it's a completely legitimate thing to think and to feel. But the other day, one of my sons, because I have 4 kids, 3 boys, 1 girl. One of my sons we were just talking, and he said, do you know what a father is? So I was like, okay, so what's a dad? A dad, he wakes up, he goes early in the morning to the gym, he finds us in the car, he drops us at school. Then in the evening, he comes late when we're about to go to bed, he says good night, and then we see him again tomorrow. And I asked him, so what about the things that you eat, the house that you live? But even mommy can provide that. Right? So it left me, you see, he's not, anapitia corners, lakini ananiambia kitu hapo. You know, it is my presence that he is craving for most. And I'm not saying that you give them 24 hours of the day, because the balance is you give them your time, you can't get the money. Sindio? Hustle itafanywa na nani? You have to go and hustle. So the balance is when you are with them. And again, still, nilisema sitataja learning, but najaribu. When you're with them, when you're with those people who really mean something in your life, be there. Shida yangu moja ni hii. Hadi nimeambiwa kwa kinyozi unanyoa, you're like, hey, your wife is not going to complain the way you're constantly on the phone. Hapo nawapatia excuse, no, you know hii ni ya kazi, hii nini. But when you go home, you find yourself there just scrolling. Then you're being asked, why are you looking at your phone now? You know, during the day I had work. You know, so I couldn't look. But what these things are starting to do, and akia Mungu yani nitapigwa viboko nikienda nyumbani because of admitting this here, but what these things and these tools and these assignments are doing is that they are providing distractions, things that are valuable in your life, but if you were to think about it and really eliminate the things that you truly need, then your phone wouldn't be one of them. That extra hour at the office, yes, it might earn you something and there's a value to it, but you know, it in the grand, you know, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really count for that much. And that's why what wakifika now the age of Kaparo, when men are retired and you men go and visit your home, ni nani unaletea nini zawadi? So all of your memories are centered around the person who was actually providing, and that's not an illegitimate feeling. So why I'm saying what I've learned so far is that definitely it has to be a deliberate effort, because work can define you, and you can walk out and say, ndio huyo mwanahabari, but your children, your wife don't look at you as a reporter. Today for dinner we are having chapati and beans. And the chapati and beans, you understand? They don't look at you like that.
Tonight on dinner.
Yeah. You know, they look at you for completely different reasons. And it was those reasons that I think you need to start paying attention to. The final thing that I will say about this is, there's this book by a guy, I mean, he's been accused of being he proffers a lot of pop psychology, but he's a guy called Simon Sinek, and the book is called The Infinite Game. So he defines life in two ways: in finite games and in infinite games. Now, the finite game is the goal that you set for yourself. I'm going to become CEO of this company. I'm going to run 100 miles. I'm going to deliver value for my shareholders of a specific amount. But I'm sure some of you have finished those games now. How do you feel at the end of it? Do you feel empty? Like after the high of achieving that, you're like, kumbe, there's another goal that I need to set. Those are finite games. Infinite games, the ones that derive the most pleasure in you, the ones that give you the most joy, are usually the things that you're doing for other people. So as you're discovering your purpose, I think that's one of the things that I'm trying to figure out. What for me is the finite game? Is it being the journalist who breaks the good story? Or is it being the father who enjoys the trip home with his kids as much as he enjoys the journalism? And what that does for my kids. So that's how I think the work-life balance is being framed for me today.
They cultivated, they did a lot of other things, including raising you. So women have always worked. I think what has changed is the kind of job they do now. But working, our women have always worked and worked very hard. Even now, they are working as before, and what is really surprising you is that they are working with you and like you. Sasa hiyo ndio in our care. Sasa unajua wajibu wenu, badala ya kufanya kazi bidii zaidi, ndio mwashinda hawa kina mama, mnaonea wivu, mnaanza kuvaa kama hawa. Sasa unajua hiyo haitamaliza shida yenu. Shida yako elewa tu, mama ni binadamu kama wewe, na amekuwa akifanya kazi ya jamii na ya familia miaka hiyo yote, na sasa anafanya ya muhimu kuliko vile alivyokuwa akifanya. So usaidia yeye na yeye kusaidie. Usimwonee wivu, kwa sababu wakati wewe ndio ulikuwa unaenda ofisi na yeye analima shamba, hakukuonea wivu. So mbona unaonea wivu? That's not our problem really. Our problem as Kenyan men is the following. For a long time, and it continues to be, our men thought the only way that they can entertain themselves and their friends is by drinking. Ama? Leisha yetu wa Kenya wanaume imekuwa kwa baa. Na tunaenda huko, tunamaliza pesa, tunamaliza akili, au tunaleta kurudi nyumbani. Sasa jameni, shugeni hii baa. Ndio iko trap. Hata nyinyi vijana, hii baa itawamalizia akili, itawakataza muende kazi, itawashusha madaraka, na itaharibu nyinyi uume wenu. Siku nasikia kuna bali sasa ni schools zimefungwa. Ama hamjasikia? Naona wewe hutaki kusema lakini unajua. So shungeni hiyo. Change your entertainment. It's much more to entertainment than drinking and bars. Semeni moja. Ya pili, ile namaliza akili yenu. Hii kitu mnaita simu. Wapi hii kitu? Hero wapi hii? Mnaona hii? Kuna Mtanzania ameimbia hii kitu. Anasema hii simu ya mkono lazima iombewe, kwa sababu hii kitu iko na fitina na inapoteza wakati wetu, na inakukataza ufanye kazi, na inakukataza ufanye maendeleo. A lot of you young men today, you are fixated on WhatsApp, you are fixated on Facebook, na Twitter, TikTok, nini tena. Maisha yenu yote ni hivi tu, hivi. Hata muda time ya kuseduce wasichana. Unataka kuombewa. Na unajua wakati nilikuwa kwa ile organization ya mwisho ambayo nilishughulikia wa Kenya, NCIC, nilikuwa kwa upumbavu wangu, nilikuwa nafikiria the young generation is the least tribal. Washa bwana niingie NCIC na kufanya utafiti, kuangalia ile postings mnaweka kwa WhatsApp, kwa Twitter, kwa Facebook. Siku hiyo unaita nini ya mwisho? Haikuwa imekuja. TikTok haikuwa imefika. Sasa ukiangalia, the young people below 30 were the most ferociously tribal, and they were ethnic warlords. Na fikiri bado muko hivyo. bado muko hivyo. Get out of that madness. Get out of that madness. Your place is to be a Kenyan, a real Kenyan, a Kenyan who doesn't have to care about the next fellow's tribe. Kwani mara ngapi ume kama ng'ombe inaitwa tribe? Hebu niambie. Hivi tutawamaliza jamii. Na nyinyi wanaume chungeni msije mkafanya hivyo, kwa sababu nyinyi ndio mnaenda demonstration. Nyinyi ndio mnafanya vita. Hata mnaita kata ile geta, hata geta nyinyi ndio mnafanya. Sasa hii upuzi yote ni nyinyi na ni nyinyi vijana. Sasa badala ya kutafuta njia na mbinu ya kuwa kama Kipng'etich, unatafuta njia ya kumleta yeye chini. Hao wengine wanasumbuka sana, wale na kutoka mingi. Na huyu Kaparo alikuwa nini? Ndiye alikuwa minister, ndiye alikuwa speaker, ndiye alikuwa sijui. Sasa si hata wewe uwe. Nani anakukataza? So don't spend your time bringing others down. I remember I went to a lecture when I went to the university first year. Na msiniulize mwaka gani. Na wacha niwaambie ilikuwa 1973. Imagine 73 nilikuwa university. Sheria. Imagine. Sasa nilienda lecture moja. Ilikuwa inapeanwa na padri wa kanisa Katoliki. Alikuwa anaitwa Dr. Father Dondas. And the theme of the lecture was, please don't fence us in. Usikubali kufungwa jela na akili loko ya kienyeji ya kwamba kabila lako is the best, every other is a nuisance. Hiyo ni ujinga mtupu, sio? Ama wasichana wapenu ndio maridadi kuliko wengine. Kwani hujatembea Kenya hii kuona ni warembo wengi? Na hata kama ni hivyo, si unaweza chukua yote ukitaka. Na kama uwezi tugawe. So please don't fence yourself in. Avoid being a slave of social media. Avoid being a slave of social media. Don't become a social media warrior. Because you are wasting your time and you are even wasting your balls. Kwani unapigana kwa rununu na hakuna vita unapigana, hii makende yako inaenda wapi? Nafikiri hiyo nimetosha, na kama hamkusikia ulieni.
We are coming to sit down. When I was looking at the TV the other day, I was at a company of some ladies, and they say, you people are going to discuss more of us. You people are going to discuss more of women. Then I say, yes, maybe, possibly. Let us continue with that. I want to disagree with what these people, the church, are saying. Exodus 21, verse 10. If you have the Bible and anybody having the Bible in English or whatever, open that Exodus 21, verse 10. The Bible has never refused money to women. Who have brought up, and it is the pastors who have shut down Exodus 21, verse 10. Return to the money of taking money, as long as the first one works, you will never deprive her of 3 good things. Well, you know, there is nothing in the Bible which has value, and I'm not saying you can go to the and find out the relationship. But I want to say this. What can you say to hivi? Wacha niambie nyinyi vijana. kukaa kushika kwa kidole hapo juu ya kidole ni kitu ya kufikiria sana. Mambo ya kusema na hivi sasa nyinyi kwa kweli mnao wasichana ama your friends ambao wengine wako na masomo nyingi ya juu zaidi kuliko nyinyi, lakini mnaona kwa sababu mmekutana tu na kusema and you never sat down and discuss further. What about our army? Ni nini tutakuwa nazo na ambayo tutakuwa nazo tukileta familia yale mali yale pesa tutakayoleta pamoja tutafanya nini? We don't sit there. You should. That is actually what we should be discussing at length, so that these people can understand. I'm trying to hurry because I don't have time, and I don't also want to leave out other friends who want to say something. So, in a nutshell, let me say I'm happy. I've come all the way from Kajiado, and I believe in next time we will be we will tell the men everywhere to come and share this educative ideas ili tupate kuendelea pamoja. Na wale ambao wamesimama na hii kazi, msimame na msichoke. Sisi tuko pamoja na tutasaidiana. Asante. As you go, let me say Mzee, because you have been branded Mzee and you are Mzee, because 5 years is also great. Asante sana. So, thank you.
I've written a book, in case you like to get it, called Dad is Destiny. Written my story and about fatherhood then and today, and how we can use fatherhood as a way of, raising the next generation of men. So I would say, as dads, we just need to be intentional. There are different types of parents. There's an authoritarian that is there to be seen and tell you what to do. Then there's the neglectful. He's not really involved. There's a power distance. So he really doesn't care much what is happening, never gets involved in your life. Those two are not good. Then there's the permissive, where children tell you what to do all the time and you do it. You're not the leader. You're not the one telling them, guiding them. Because they are children and you're not. And I think what he talks about is now what is recommended. The authoritative. You have your leadership, authority, you guide them, you tell them it's time to go and sleep, and we're not arguing about that because it's late and I know what's good for you, but there's a place where you can play and they can tell you to button your shirt. So the best is that authoritative, not authoritarian, not permissive, and not neglectful. And I think as we do that kind of fatherhood, we will raise up and bless the next generation. Lastly, I just want to say, and I know my senior has gone, that actually there's a lot in the Bible that talks about one woman, one wife, one woman, one man. And when Jesus was asked, how come in the Old Testament they were told to marry many wives? He said, because of your hard hearts. But he said, from the beginning it was not like so. Adam was to marry Eve, the two of them. So I just wanted to state that, though he has walked out. But all of you fathers, please, let's be involved with our children. It's probably one of the best legacies we give to the next generation. Thanks.
All right, we can now have one for Dr. Kipng'etich. Abel Mokua, njoo tafadhali. You're going to give it Brian Muchiri. Hosea, you're around? Hosea tumekuna mahali. Yes, Hosea is one of our colleagues is going to be giving the gift to the Reverend.